الآن اسمحوا لنا ننتقل للجلسة الرابعة والأخيرة لهذا اليوم. أرحب برئيس الجلسة الرابعة سعادة المهندس نضال البيطار، الرئيس التنفيذي لجمعية شركات تقنية المعلومات والاتصالات إنتاج الأردن، والتي ستكون تحت عنوان الأمن السيبراني ومخاطر اختراق البيانات. سنسلط الضوء خلالها على التحديات المتنامية في هذا المجال الحيوي وانعكاساتها على قطاع التأمين والأسواق المرتبطة به. كما نرحب أيضاً بالمتحدث الرئيسي في هذه الجلسة سعادة الدكتور معتز الدبعي، أستاذ الذكاء الاصطناعي والتكنولوجيا الناشئة في الجامعة الأردنية والرئيس التنفيذي لشركة التحليل النقي. أهلاً وسهلاً. أهلاً، تفضلوا.
مساء الخير جميعاً، يعطيكم العافية. بدي أشكر المنظمين لهذه الفعالية المهمة اللي فعلا شي برفع الراس، حضور مميز. يعني من هاليومين هدول شاركت فيهم بصراحة، يعني المحتوى ممتاز ورائع، وفعلا مدرك انه احنا في عصر تحول رقمي وتحول للذكاء الاصطناعي كمان، مش بس تحول رقمي. وبنفس الوقت هذا يتطلب جهود أكبر لحماية التحول الرقمي من خلال التكنولوجيا الأمن السيبراني وغيره. يعني أنا اليوم بتشرف يكون معي أخوي صديقي دكتور معتز الدبعي، وعلاقتنا طويلة مع بعض، وانبسطت وتشرفت فعلا أنه أكون موجود معكم بهاي الجلسة. رح نعمل الجلسة هاي شوي بطريقة أنه دكتور معتز يعمل هيك برزنتيشن حلوة بسيطة خفيفة هيك اتفقنا، وبعدين نعمل حوار مع بعض، وأكيد بنحب نسمع يكون في انتراكشن وتفاعل مع الجميع. تفضل دكتور.
شكرا جزيلا، يعطيكم ألف عافية. وأنا بعرف إنه بجوز I was lucky to be here with all of you but unlucky to be the last one before lunch. I'll try to make it short and to make it informative.
It's better
as much as I
to be
can.
before lunch than after lunch, by the way.
أكيد.
Look at the bright side.
It's much better than after lunch. Definitely. بشكر كتير الاتحاد شركات التأمين بالأردن، وبشكر بشكل خاص الدكتور مؤيد كلوب على kind invitation that we've got as Pure Analytica، ولجميع الحضور. اليوم بدي أحكي شوي عن cyber security and I will talk in terms of numbers and figures instead of principles and concepts. And I'll try my best to make it also very informative and short, direct to the point. I work currently as a director and the CEO of the Pure Analytica, which is a startup company here in Jordan. After I spent many years working for Oracle, and definitely you know Oracle, I'm also attached to the University of Jordan as an associate professor there in the AI and the emerging technologies. So I will start with this quote from the president of the European Central Bank that says that cybersecurity is much more than an IT issue. It's a critical business risk. And by saying that, I mean that there should be a strategic alignment between cybersecurity and enterprise risk management frameworks alongside the strategic planning of the organization. Cybersecurity nowadays is more than about leadership, more than about internal communication and collaboration. And it's also about planning how to respond and how to respond quickly and effectively to our reputation and our brand image. So in the financial sector in the 1994, 64% of the institutions and the financial institutions, they have reported some sort of cyber incidents. So that is equal to 12.5% increase in comparison to 2023. So the cyber attacks and the number of cyber incidents are increasing continuously, not only in Jordan, but in the global world. So nowadays, why financial sector is important to these like financial threat actors? Their financial sector is very tempting, very appealing for these attackers. The main driver for that is the high value of data. It's a credit card data, personal information data, transactional data, so it's worthy in attacking. Also, we expect that the regulatory environment will become stricter over time in order to combat these increasing risks that's happening day after day and year after year. Most importantly is the strategy that should be adopted by the organizations. Different financial institutions, including insurance companies, should think about the cybersecurity strategy as three main pillars. The first one is related definitely to threat intelligence, to emerging technologies, to data loss prevention, to zero trust architecture, but this is not sufficient. Technology alone will never bring a silver bullet solution to you. You have to think also about your people, so the people should have the adequate competences and capabilities. They should have the right culture and the mindsets to deal with the incidents and attacks. And also the third element or pillar that is very important is related to business processes, the operations and the policies, including the ethical and the governance frameworks, those making sure that cybersecurity can be effective in any institution. So the financial sector is a prime target, given that it has high value data. Not only that, but they are also working 24/7. So if there is any financial operational disruption, that would be harmful and significant to any insurance and financial institution. Also, they are enjoying complex ecosystems. They are working with multiple partners, different third-party vendors. And most of these attacks coming using the third-party vendors' weak security protocols and procedures. Nowadays, even with the adoption of emerging technologies such as blockchain, fintech technologies, and blockchain, they are adding to the attack service. They are making the attack service more spread, more wider. And given that the more technology that you're adding, that means the higher or the more probability of finding a vulnerability through which these actors or the attack actors can potentially utilize. In many other cases, the motive will be like for a nationwide. It's for politically threat actors. Those politically threat actors, they try to damage the financial institutions, and that would lead to the damage of the whole economy within the country, given the critical importance of this sector. And thus, many of the motives, we'll call them like cyber wars. They would come from one country to another, trying to let the economy and the economic system within that certain country get down. So, what are the main risk vectors within the insurance companies? First of all is the endpoint vulnerabilities. Your mobile phones, your laptops, your workstations, these are the endpoints are very vulnerable to attacks. The second is the weak IAM, which is which is related to the identity and access management. The way you authenticate and you get the authorization to use the applications within any insurance companies. Many of us, we share, like for example, our passwords. Nowadays with the biometrics, with the one-time password, that would increase the level of security within different organizations. The third one is the migration to cloud. Many of our companies, including the financial and the cybersecurity, they are migrating to the cloud. And by migrating to the cloud, which is an emerging technology, if we misuse any kind of security setting, that would be like a major threat to our institutions and our insurance companies. Unsecured APIs. Today we have touched upon APIs many times, and this is the way to integrate with third parties and to build your ecosystem. But APIs is not only operational, you have to think about it also from a security perspective. If it's working, that does not mean it's there and it's fine. We have to test it, we have to make sure it's reliable, and we can without adversely affecting the institution and the insurance companies. The third one, which is the fifth one, which is the very important one, is the third-party risks. Within the supply chain, we are dealing with different third parties, different vendors, and some of those vendors, they would have weaknesses in their own security. The attackers would exploit these vulnerabilities to reach to your financial institutions and insurance. So there should be an assessment of the security procedures and protocols of your vendors, and this should be one of the selection criteria whenever you are doing any kind of procurements with those vendors. And in many cases, there will be an insufficient monitoring in terms of logging and in terms of early warning systems or alerting systems that would allow you to act proactively if there is like any suspicious activity happening within your own network. So the impact of a single breach, example in the financial institution, one single data breach costs around 5 million. Just imagine one single data breach. This is the average financial burden of any data breach within the financial institutions. This is a worldwide figure. If we look to Jordan and to the Middle East, the number is quite higher. It reaches about 8 million per only one single data breach. For detection and containment of these security breaches, so it takes around 240 days from most of the organization to detect and start the containment procedures. So the attackers, they have plenty of time to get your data, expose your data, or to harm your systems and operational transaction processing systems. And that sometimes, like with the ransomware and with the DDoS, denial of service attacks, would let your operations get down. So they will lock your system. You cannot utilize the system unless you pay the ransom required by those attackers, or if it's like a DDoS attack, so the whole operational system of the insurance company will get down only by having that breach. Ultimately, and from a strategic perspective, that would lead not only from attack to operational disruption, this would lead also to a very important and significant strategic implications that would affect your brand trust, your reputation. So imagine how long would it take you to rebuild your reputation along with your customers and with your partners within the ecosystem that you're working in. So this is a major impact of only one single data breach. I'll try to move faster just to highlight the major issues and to have a very fruitful conversation with my best friend Nidal, definitely. So the global spending nowadays on cybersecurity has risen, and it's continuously rising. Now it has been reached 212 by the end of 2025, 212 billions. So the financial institutions are spending on cyber security in terms of technology, in terms of people-related factors, in terms of process and policies-related factors. There is an attack every 39 seconds. Just imagine that. While I'm speaking, how many attacks has happened? In every 39 seconds, there will be an attack. On an annual basis, there will be around 800 attacks, successful attacks per year. Most of the 55% of those attacks have a financial motive, while the rest they're having just like spying or espionage purposes to get to spy or to get financial details, competitive details, political details, or data that is required. Cyber attacks in the second quarter of last year, 2024, increased by 30% from the same period in 2023. So the number of attacks and the number of incidents and the need for the cybersecurity is increasing over time as well. So there are plenty of attacks and different types of attacks. The number one in our area is phishing attacks that use deceptive emails or deceptive calls, the ones that you are receiving on daily basis. كم حدا حكى معكم أنا من البنك الفلاني أو بعت إيميل كليك على هذا اللينك بتاخد جائزة. They're trying to send deceptive emails and deceptive messages, or using AI even to mimic human interactions, or to get to hijack your identity and to represent themselves as an AI tools or AI bots as a legitimate human beings to try to attack using the phishing technology. Ransomware is where they lock your systems and they ask for payment in return. The insider threat, many employees or third-party vendors, they might intentionally or unintentionally adversely affecting the security of your organizations. And also there are some exploits and some attacks that the actors can initiate even without the vendors having any awareness that this vulnerability is available within their own system, and this is called zero-day exploits. So for Jordan, which is, I believe, is a reference case study in the region, which is nowadays in the global cybersecurity index, we are ranked first amongst the Arab countries, 27th worldwide, and the National Cybersecurity Center dealing with around 1,500 attacks in the last quarter in 2024. There are many reasons why we have attained this prestigious and this very advanced ranking worldwide. One of them is the establishment of the National Cybersecurity Center. The second one is the passage of the Cybersecurity Law number 17 in 2023. And the third one is having a very sound national strategy related to cybersecurity and aligned with the overall national strategy 2024 to 2028. Alongside many other educational programs, whether academic or non-academic programs that have been already established in Jordan, and also they are equipping our people to make sure that we have cybersecurity professionals who can really tackle any kind of attacks in a very effective manner. So we are very proud reaching that rank worldwide for Jordan. And as I mentioned, 27th worldwide, number one amongst all the Arab countries. So we are a reference model, I believe, to many other countries. So if we look at the number of attacks from 2020 to 2024, we can see that in Jordan, the number of attacks is increasing, and this is matching also the increase in the number of attacks in the MENA region. Let's have a look at the type of attacks. You can see from these statistics that the number one attack and the number one threat to Jordanian insurance companies and financial institutions is phishing attacks, followed by ransomware and then data breaches. Despite the fact that the numbers are increasing over time, phishing is ranked first in all years. Ransom is ranked second in all years, and then comes the data breaches. I will mention just one event that happened to a very established bank in Jordan. They have been attacked by a ransomware, Everest ransomware group, which is like a Russian-speaking group. That happened within the last couple of years. So some of their data have been exposed by these attackers. They have a financial burden, an extensive financial burden because of that attack. But because of their containment and incident response that acted swiftly in order to contain and to respond to this attack, they could reduce the financial burdens from these attacks. Not only in Jordan, but also globally. In the United States, Capital One, Equifax, Flagstar banks, they had different types of attacks with the financial consequences, negative financial consequences happening. What is the main lesson that we can get out of that? Even established banks in Jordan, the region, and the United States, they can be a victim of these kinds of attacks, given that there is no security 100%, as mentioned earlier. So all what we can do is increasing the layers of defense without adversely affecting the operational and the efficiency of operations within our own institutions. So what do we have to do? Is there any regulatory compliance that we have to take it into consideration? Definitely yes. The PCI DSS is mainly related to the credit card details and the credit card information, and this is a regulatory that would make sure that any sensitive details related to credit cards will not be disclosed over the internet or to a third party or only under a certain guidelines and protocols. GDPR, the equivalent in Jordan هو قانون حماية البيانات الشخصية. GDPR General Data Protection Regulation اللي بدأ ب 2019 وبيحدد انه اليوم اي جهة بتتعامل مع جهة أوروبية to make sure not to invade the privacy of any of their own customers by sharing like micro level details and data. The ISO 27001, the International Standard for Information Security, Basel III, it's for risk management, and there are also some regulations, local regulations from central banks. What's missing there? And this is a call to all of you in the financial sector. There is a missing regulatory compliance over there. It's called DAMA framework. We have to be compliant to DAMA. DAMA is a data governance and data management frameworks that has been in action in Saudi Arabia, for example, as a reference at the level of the government for whole the private and public sector. This is a way to govern your data. If we are not governing our data, we cannot govern AI, we cannot govern cybersecurity, we cannot govern any kind of emerging technologies, because all of these emerging technologies are driven by data, and the data is the oil of the 21st century. But definitely, analytics is the combustion engine. Analytics in terms of AI, in terms of machine learning, in terms of business intelligence, will provide you with the value that you're looking for. So, how AI is affecting the fintech, AI and the fintech affecting the insurtech and affecting also the financial institutions in general. They are a double-edged sword. They have a positive impact, and at the same time they have a negative impact. AI can be used for anomaly detection, can be used for credit scoring, can be used for fraud detection, can be used as a biometric to enhance role-based authentication. All these are good examples of AI. But there is also a dark side that we have to dig deeper into it and to give it good attention. Now there are AI-generated attacks using deepfake. So they can hijack your identity. They can autonomously initiate different types of ransomwares and phishing attacks using the AI technology. So AI is not only good, but it also has a dark side that we have to take into consideration. This is very important to make a balance when we talk about these emerging technologies. So there are some emerging risks because of the AI and emerging technology. Now there is ransomware as a service. We have heard about platform as a service, data as a service, infrastructure as a service, but we never heard about any type of attack that will be available there as a service. What does that mean? You don't have to be technical. You don't have to know how to write code. So you can utilize these kind of platforms to initiate attacks as a service. So they make it even simpler for those actors or anyone with a bad intention to start and to initiate these kinds of attacks. So there are many AI-driven attacks, and also IoT, the Internet of Things, that's related to the smart facility, smart building. It's one major factor, a leading factor to attacks. IoTs, usually these kind of sensors, we deploy them in hundreds, thousands, millions, and they lack sufficient security mechanisms and protocols. And such, they are really adding more to the attack service to those attackers. I'll try to give some insights and some recommendations about how to manage cybersecurity. If you are not really into technical aspects and you think and you are in a managerial position, what should you do in order to make sure that you are handling cybersecurity as part or integral part of the enterprise risk management effectively? First of all, there should be a board for the cybersecurity at the level of the financial institution. And this board is now mandated, I believe, for the banks from the Central Bank of Jordan to handle every single aspect related to cybersecurity in terms of budget allocation, recruitments, handling any kind of issues related to cybersecurity. Having a board and making sure that the objectives of the cybersecurity are very much aligned with your business objective is one major thing. And this cannot be done without board level involvement. So there should be a board level involvement. What's my second recommendation? You have to start thinking about appointing Chief Information Security Officer, reporting directly to the CEO. And this is a mandatory, it's not only a cost. I know many insurance companies and financial institutions, they think about cybersecurity as just a cost just in case, which is not the reality, because it has a burden, not only financial, but it adversely affects your brand reputation and the reputation of your company. The second thing, this board would be responsible for budget allocation, and they have to have some sort of dashboarding, visual dashboard, with some key KPIs that should be monitored in real time. Monitored in order to be able either to act proactively to prevent attacks from happening, or at least to be able to contain and to respond to these incidents and attacks in a very short period of time. So there should be a dashboard for different levels: board level, tactical level, and operational levels. And the operational levels will be managed by the Security Operational Center. So what's my call to action? I believe it's a time for a transition. Transition from only raising awareness about cybersecurity to do some sort of actions related to cybersecurity. Your organizations should have a catalog in which you are categorizing all digital assets. After you categorizing all the digital assets, you should set priorities, because these priorities affecting the financial allocation. And then you have to start drafting your own policies and SOPs related to cybersecurity. You have to put controls in place. You have to deploy and to train your people about these measures, policies, and controls. And you have to test and to continuously improve these controls and these policies to make sure that your organization is quite safe and quite secured when it comes to cyber attacks. So I would like to thank you. I tried my best to be short. I know that you're hungry. All right, some of you are starving. I haven't had my breakfast today. طبعا بس أنا مش جوعان لأني مبسوط هلا بشوفتكم. Thank you very much لكلكم، ومرة ثانية thank you دكتور مؤيد for this kind invitation. وشكرا لصديقي المهندس نضال، وأنا جاهز لأسئلتك سيدي. Thank you.
يعني دكتور معتز، شكرا كثير على العرض الرائع بصراحة، وأنا شهادتي فيك مجروحة يمكن، بس الواقع أنا بعتبرك one of the thought leaders بالمجال اللي تفضلت فيه يعني بالهاي، ف definitely having you is big asset يعني مش مجاملة هاي. وشكرا لدكتور مؤيد وللاتحاد اللي فعلا استضافوك يعني واستضافوني كمان اليوم معك. أنا I wanna be short as well. بس and I'm prepared some يعني from the presentation prepared some questions that might elaborate a little bit based on your thought leadership دكتور معتز. I will start with the first question. إنه since you mentioned إنه cybersecurity is no longer just an IT concern but a core business risk, so I would like to learn your view. How well are executive leadership teams in Jordan, especially in the financial and insurance sector, aligning cybersecurity with business strategy today? So هذا يعني based on what you
very important question. Thank
بس
you.
خليه يكون شوي قصير عشان في كثير عندي أشياء. We may allow some guests يعني to ask some questions.
Definitely. As I've mentioned, the perceiving and recognizing cybersecurity as a major business risk is increasing over time. But this is unfortunately uneven in our economy. There are two tiers of institutions. Tier 1 institutions, the board and the CEOs and the executives, they understand cybersecurity and they deal with cybersecurity as a business risk, enterprise business risk. But unfortunately, many of the SMEs still thinking about cybersecurity as a technical function only. And there is like uneven way of seeing and perceiving cybersecurity across organizations based on size.
Thank you, thank you. هلا أنا طبعاً I'm proud to be a member of the National Cybersecurity Council as representing Intaj and the private sector. So what you mentioned today in the presentation is music to my ears. يعطيك العافية.
Thank you.
But this leads us to يعني you know Jordan has ranked well in the cybersecurity index. But what key enablers helped achieve this leap, in your opinion, and where do you see the most urgent gaps that still need to be addressed? Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. As I've mentioned, there are 3 to 4 main drivers that led Jordan to be ranked first among the Arab world, Arab countries, and 27th globally. The first one is the establishment of the National Cybersecurity Center, given the mandates and the governance and the framework and the policies that lies under their own responsibility. That happened in 1999. The second one is the Cybersecurity Law, number 17, the passage of the Cybersecurity Law number 17 in 2023. The third one, having a very solid cybersecurity strategy, 2024-2028, that's very much aligned with the strategy, with the national strategy. And maybe the fourth factor that led to this rank is related to the talents and the caliber when it comes to cybersecurity within the Jordanian economy and the Jordanian sector. What's still missing there, I believe there are some gaps. For example, we need some sort of customization or harmonization for sectorial regulations. So we need regulations that would tackle the financial industry, the health industry, the public sector, the pharmaceutical. This sectorial aspect is missing in Jordan. And I'm encouraging the officials start thinking about such a sectorial strategy and sectorial regulations. The second one is about the lack of awareness, especially within the SMEs.
Okay.
So, and maybe the third one, which is very critical, and they have touched upon that in the previous presentation, is the main gap between the public and private sector. So we need to bridge the public-private trust deficits. There is a major deficit that would affect the national efforts in this area and in this domain.
Amazing. I have some questions. بس في حدا من الأودينس بحب يسأل دكتور معتز أي سؤال؟ Any questions؟ ولا نكمل؟ عشان ما حدا يقول no interaction. طيب إذا ما في we'll move on with another important question regarding the case study that you mentioned about the case study about one of the banks in Jordan. What are the lessons you think other financial institutions should learn from this big thing يعني, of the breach, particularly regarding third-party risks?
Yes, I believe there are main 3 lessons that we can learn from the attack that happened to one of the Jordanian banks. The first one is related to the third-party vendors. The major vulnerability was related to a third-party vendor. There was a very weak security protocols followed there. So I believe that there should be a continuous assessment of any third-party vendors. The second one is related to the zero trust architecture. I believe that network segmentation helps in containment, and adopting a zero trust architecture from a security perspective is a major issue. The third thing that I believe is important is to have a security by design, not to be an afterthought. So not to get all the systems and the operations running and then start thinking about the cybersecurity. That doesn't work usually. In many cases, that is the major issue, that the cybersecurity is an afterthought, not a security by design. So these are the 3 key lessons learned from my own perspective from the case of Jordan.
Thank you. Dr. Mutaz, we're lucky to have you, not just because of your knowledge and experience, and not because you're just only Mutaz and a friend of mine, but because also you worked in the academia and in the private sector.
Yes.
So you see both. We'd like to learn from you your opinion and your feedback regarding the quality of talents we have, especially in the domain of cybersecurity and other maybe deep tech areas, and what we need to do.
This is actually a good and bad thing at the same time. We have more than 16 universities in Jordan with the programs related to cybersecurity, with the undergraduate and postgraduate. We have a number of also people working within the cybersecurity domain, but the main issue is that there is a main and significant gap between the academic outputs and the industry requirements. So this is a major issue every time we're facing that, because of lacking experiential learning and the practical way of exposing our students to simulation like programs, or to professional certificates, or to experiential learning. We're more theoretical when it comes to teaching than practical. So that creates the gap. Accordingly, many institutions in Jordan, fortunately, they have created a faster track to bridge that gap and to prepare our students for the marketplace, like HTU with Aura and Orange Academy, the academy by the Ministry of Digital Economy and Entrepreneurship. There are 3 months program and 6 months program where they try to bridge the gap. One of the things that I've heard from our students that really pissed me off is that they told me the 6th month that we have spent within this acceleration program is worth more than the 5 years or the 4 years that we have spent at the university. Which is really, for me, given that I'm also in the academia, I'm also working at the University of Jordan, it was not shocking, but not appealing, to be honest with you. So I believe there should be a reform in the higher education, and changing dramatically the way in which we are building our curriculum, the way in which we are managing the classroom. We should be more mentors than educators. We should guide the learning journey of our students, not spoon feed them. So I believe that there should be a very structural reform to every single aspects in the higher education to bridge that gap between the academic outputs and also the requirements in the marketplace.
Since we're talking about cybersecurity in specific, Jordanian universities, they graduate around 600 students from cybersecurity related disciplines, from around 7,000 graduates from IT related things. So it's a good number. Yeah. However, we're at the National Cybersecurity Council, we're advocating for increasing the grade or the percentage of the students of their high school, and to be minimum 80%. So universities will not be able to accept students with less than 80% to attend or to get into the cybersecurity program, because we believe this is very sensitive, and it could be very harmful if a student was not ready really to be very highly competitive, especially in cybersecurity. Maybe in coding we can manage, but in cybersecurity, you're protecting a full nation, so we have to be very careful. This is a piece of information which I wanted to highlight for the audience. Fintech, insurtech. The more digital transformation, the more high risk. Fintech and insurtech become a mandatory, not a luxury. So, and I believe personally, and maybe you agree with me, that no more room for traditional or conventional insurance company. I have to be blunt about this to my friends who are attending this forum. And same thing for banks. So it's not, you have to become a fintech or an insurtech company. But at the same time, adapting the AI, it's becoming embedded in financial and insurance services. We're talking beyond fintech and insurtech, لأنه في AI هلا صار معنا. So what specific cybersecurity challenges do you foresee emerging in the next 2 to 3 years? because of the AI, the more digital transformation, the transformation to becoming a fintech with AI, insurtech with AI.
Yes,
like to hear
yes,
your,
definitely. I believe fintech they've been considered as a threat to banks at earlier stages. And then the banks, they have built their own strategies to overcome this challenge, and they have created their own fintechs. I'm not sure whether insurance companies will do the same, but I believe the threat that the insurance companies are facing right now is unprecedented. I believe that there will be some sort of platforms that will do insurance using AI in no time, that will do most of the actions in a smart manner that suits Generation Z and Generation Alpha as well. And I believe that now it's a critical decision for each and every one of you, whether to become a dinosaur like Ericsson, Nokia, and the Kodak, or to become a legend. This is a matter of choice by the executive leadership within any insurance company. So if you'd like to be a legacy and only part of the history, do nothing. Otherwise, you have to start thinking about redefining your business models, re-engineering your business processes, and re-engineering is a major issue. Digitalization and digital transformation is not only about having the same business process and instead of having it online, offline to have it online. It's more about a paradigm shift about the way in which you are introducing your service, in which you are serving your customers, in the way you are dealing with the cybersecurity. Nowadays with InsurTech and CyberTech, the major AI-driven attacks will be phishing, the first one, I believe, and this is my expectation based on the statistics that we have mentioned, followed by ransomware and data breaches. So there will be some deepfake attacks, AI-driven attacks, trying to deceive your customers and to hijack their identities. And that would put you really in a major, maybe a dilemma, whether being able to serve and also being able to secure your infrastructure, your operations, and your transactions.
Thank you for this great answer. But at the same time, I have good news and bad news for the insurance companies in specific and the financial sectors. So you have to increase your budget for cybersecurity and for digitalization and for AI adoption. But at the same time, the good news, the more budget it's an investment, it's not a cost. So I think companies, they should look at this as an investment, not a cost, because it will increase their competitiveness, it will increase their revenue in the medium and long run. Maybe in the short run, no. It requires more effort, there's time. This leads me to the metrics and accountability. You emphasized KPI monitoring at the board level. So what are the top 3 cybersecurity KPIs you believe should be on every boardroom dashboard?
Thank you very much. I believe if I'm one of the executive leadership in the insurance companies, I will be happy to see a dashboard containing like mean time to detect, to understand the average time that it takes us to detect any kind of incident or threat. I would be happy also to see mean time to recover, to see the average time that we need to recover from an attack. It would be also very much important and significant to see for example, the percentage of click-through rates, like the phishing click-through rates. How many times our employees and our customers receiving a deceptive emails or calls, and they are also they're moving forward and they're clicking on that link, or they are initiating the attack because of their lack of awareness. The third thing, which is pure technical, that I will be very interested in, is the batch compliance rate. So the number, whether we are installing and configuring the security patches on time, and nowadays there are autonomous AI engines that would do that even without a human intervention. Because most of the attacks were happening because of the like DBAs or the technical admins, they forget to install a batch at a certain period of time.
Akhir question, because Lara is here. Because it touches at the heart of this conference, cyber insurance. You briefly touched on cyber insurance. How mature is it in this market and in the region, and what role do you think or do you see it plays in institutional risk management? And it's something new. I know I heard about it a few years ago, but I don't see it happening unless there's something. بس بحب أسمع رأيك.
You're right.
وquickly عشان
I'll be
people
very
are
short.
getting hungry, we have to leave.
Actually, I thought that talking about cyber insurance will be one of my competitive advantage, but unfortunately, Dr. Ma'in talked about it, and he took the pleasure out of me. Talking about the first one, talking about cyber insurance, you are always ahead of
course,
the technological aspects and the economic aspects. So I'm grateful to talk for the second time in this conference about the cyber insurance. Cyber insurance, I believe it will be mandatory for fintech, especially for cross-border fintechs. And I believe that till now, the one major factor that is preventing cyber insurance from becoming a widespread insurance is that the premiums are high. And the actuarial data for such a cyber insurance is not available that much. So they are scarce. There is a scarce data and rare amount of data about actuarial data about cyber insurance. I believe it's an opportunity. It's a promising revenue stream for different insurance companies to start thinking how can they build a program to ensure cybersecurity at different financial institutions, especially banks. That would increase also the working with banks, but with affordable and logical prices. The premiums should not be that high to mitigate the risk. They have to understand how to measure the risk appetite and the risk exposure in a more realistic way. And afterwards, having such actuarial data and having logical premiums for the cyber insurance would pave the road to create a new revenue stream for insurance companies and would take them one level up into the digital transformation and being part of this new world of digital business.
تمام.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Sorry, Lara. I think 45 minutes. We exceeded maybe 1 minute above the 45 minutes. شكرا كثير دكتور معتز.
شكرا كثير لك. شرفت فيك.
I enjoyed the conversation with you and هذا ويعطيكم ألف عافية.
شكرا جزيلا لكم جميعا.
شكرا لكم، يعطيكم ألف عافية. نتقدم طبعا بالشكر والتقدير لرئيس الجلسة والمتحدث الكريم على ما قدمه، واسمحوا لي أدعو سعادة الدكتور مؤيد الكلوب لتكريم سعادة الدكتور معتز الدبعي تقديرا لجهودك في هذه الجلسة. شكرا على المعلومات القيمة.
معلومة إنه كان بنصفي بس كان أكثر من
كمان ما شاء الله. اثنين متميزين ما شاء الله. بالآخر المتميزين بيجتمعوا دائما. وأيضا تكريم لسعادة المهندس نضال البيطار تقديرا لجهوده في إدارة هذه الجلسة. الله يعطيك ألف عافية، أبدعتوا.